There comes a moment in life when something inside whispers, "This is not the way it ends." A quiet voice rising beyond the noise, beyond the pressure, beyond the constant chase for validation. It doesn't scream, it doesn't argue, it simply speaks truth. And when you hear it, something shifts. Not because the world changes, but because you do. That voice isn't random, it's your own. The part of you that hasn't forgotten who you are beneath the layers, beneath the roles, beneath the expectations. The part that remembers what you once dreamed before the world taught you to settle. And the question becomes, will you listen? 1. The journey inward is the beginning of all transformation. Many believe that change begins with doing more effort, more hustle, more striving. But the deepest transformation never begins with doing. It begins with seeing, with noticing what has been hidden, what has been suppressed, what has been silenced. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. You cannot grow beyond what you deny exists. And so, the true path starts inward, not outward, into your thoughts, into your emotions, into the belief systems that have shaped your life, often without your awareness. When you sit with yourself in silence, the mind begins to reveal its contents. The distractions fade, and the real work begins, not with action, but with observation. You start to notice the patterns, the stories you tell yourself when you're alone, the judgments that rise before choices are made, the fear that cloaks itself in logic. These are not flaws, they are your starting points. True growth does not reject what is seen, it embraces it with awareness. You do not change yourself by force, you shift by understanding, by meeting the shadow with compassion and the habit with mindfulness. The person you seek to become is not someone you create from nothing. That version already lives within you. Your job is to clear the noise, unlearn the false, and allow that deeper self to rise. It begins when you stop chasing the external and start cultivating the internal. When you stop looking for the next thing to fix and begin listening to what your stillness is trying to teach. 2. Discipline is the language of self-respect. Often speak of discipline as restriction, as something cold, rigid, or punishing. But this is a misunderstanding. Real discipline is not a burden, it is a form of devotion, a sacred commitment to yourself. Discipline is not about denying yourself. It's about choosing what serves you over what tempts you. It's the decision to honor your long-term peace over short-term comfort. It's not imposed from outside, born from within. When you discipline your time, your habits, your attention, you're not being harsh or practicing self-respect. You're saying, I value this life too much to waste it. I value my energy too much to leak it. I value my mind too much to fill it with noise. The undisciplined mind is pulled in every direction. It reacts, it distracts, it avoids. But the disciplined mind moves with clarity. It acts with intention. It walks a straight path, not because it's easy, but because it's aligned. There is power in small disciplines done daily. Waking up early, moving your body, feeding your mind, being mindful of your speech, choosing silence over reaction. These are not grand acts, but over time, they shape character. Discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. It's the difference between wishing for change and becoming the change. And the more you keep the promises you make to yourself, the more trust you build. Trust in your own word. Trust in your own rhythm. Trust that you don't need external pressure to move you, have your own momentum. 3. Pain is a messenger, not an enemy. There's a deep misunderstanding around discomfort. Most try to avoid it, numb it, escape it. But pain, in its essence, is not a punishment. It's a messenger. It arrives not to destroy you, but to awaken you, to show you where you've been living out of alignment, where something inside is being neglected, where growth is being avoided. When you listen to pain, not react to it, you begin to hear what it's actually saying. Maybe it's a physical ache, telling you that your body needs care. Maybe it's an emotional heaviness reminding you of what you've buried. Maybe it's the quiet dissatisfaction revealing that your life is being lived for others, not for yourself. When you stop numbing pain and start learning from it, you become powerful, because now, discomfort is no longer something to fear. It becomes a compass, a guidepost, a call to return home to yourself. But this only happens when you develop the inner stillness to sit with what arises, without judgment, without rushing to fix it, without blaming yourself or others. When you welcome pain as a teacher, its power over you dissolves. You begin to notice that behind every wound is wisdom, behind every fall is feedback, behind every dark night is a deeper dawn waiting to emerge. You are not here to live a life free of pain. You are here to live a life where pain becomes part of the process, not the prison. Growth hurts. Evolution stretches, but within that stretch, a new strength is born. One that is not fragile, but forged. One that doesn't need to pretend, because it's rooted in real experience. So the next time discomfort visits you, do not run, do not numb. Instead, listen, breathe, be still, and ask, what is this trying to show me? That question alone can begin the healing. In a world obsessed with noise, urgency, and motion, stillness is often misunderstood. Many see it as laziness, as weakness, as avoidance. But true stillness is none of these. It is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of awareness. Stillness is not something you wait for. It's something you practice. It is the ability to remain centered when everything around you pulls for your reaction. It is the space you create between impulse and action. It is where clarity rises, not by force, but by allowing. When you train your body to be still, your mind begins to settle. And when the mind settles, what's true begins to surface. Your thoughts become visible. Your emotional habits reveal themselves. And in that still space, you see clearly what needs to stand, what needs to go. We often say we're too busy to be still, but in truth, we are afraid of what stillness will reveal. We fear sitting with ourselves without distraction, without stimulus, without escape. Because in that silence, the truth speaks. But it is only when you face the truth that real transformation can begin. Stillness teaches patience. It cultivates discipline. It strengthens your ability to observe rather than react. And most importantly, it teaches you to move from presence, not pressure. Imagine the difference between a leaf blown by the wind and a mountain rooted in the earth. One is reactive, the other is unshaken. Stillness trains you to be the mountain. Even 5 minutes of intentional stillness daily can shift your entire internal landscape. It is not about how long you sit, about how honestly you meet yourself in that silence. So return to stillness, return to breath, return to the present moment again and again. Not as a task, but as a homecoming. 5. Your attention is your greatest asset. What you focus on grows. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And what receives your energy, receives your life. In this age of infinite information, your attention is under constant attack by apps, by opinions, by noise. But your attention is not a toy. It is sacred currency. What you give time to shapes who you become. What you listen to forms your thoughts. What you consume influences how you feel. And every time you unconsciously give your attention away, you hand over the steering wheel of your life. So ask yourself, who's driving? The quality of your life is not determined by how much you do but by how deeply you focus. A scattered mind cannot build a steady life. A distracted soul cannot walk a clear path. Reclaim your focus like it matters, because it does. Turn off what numbs, unplug what drains, simplify what complicates, and most importantly, choose what you feed your mind with the same care you choose what you feed your body. You wouldn't eat poison, yet many consume negativity every day, without question. You wouldn't welcome chaos into your home, yet allow it into your mental space through screens and conversations. Be selective. Be intentional. Curate your environment to reflect your values. Design your daily rhythm to protect your focus. Create boundaries that honor your peace. Your life will always mirror what you consistently give attention to. If you give attention to growth, you evolve. If you give attention to fear, it expands. If you give attention to distractions, your dreams dissolve quietly. So the question is not what do you want, it's what are you consistently focused on. Your life is answering that question every day. 6. The smallest step can shift everything. Transformation is often portrayed as a grand event, a breakthrough, a major decision, a massive leap. But in truth, most change begins quietly, in a small step and new habit, a subtle shift in direction. Waiting for the perfect time to act is a trap. Waiting to feel ready, to have it all figured out, to be free of fear, these are delays, dressed as wisdom. But the truth is, clarity often comes after action, not before it. Start small, start imperfectly, start afraid, but start, because one step, taken with sincerity, contains more power than 1,000 thoughts left enacted on. That 5-minute walk, that honest conversation, that one glass of water instead of something numbing, that single breath before reacting. These seem small. When repeated, they reshape your identity. Your habits don't just influence your outcomes. They form your character, and your character becomes your future. Don't underestimate the power of repetition. It is through repetition that strength is built, that clarity deepens, that momentum gathers. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Anyone can act when they feel inspired, but those who grow act even when they don't. They trust the process more than the mood. They rely on discipline more than motivation, and with time, what once felt foreign becomes familiar. What once required effort becomes effortless. The daily action becomes identity, and the identity becomes destiny. So forget the perfect plan. Begin with the smallest act that honors your future. Let each step become your teacher. Let your rhythm become your guide. You are not far. You are simply one consistent step away from becoming who you've always had the potential to be. 7. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Service is noble. Giving is beautiful. But giving without restoring is a path to depletion, not purpose. Many wear their exhaustion like a badge of honor. They sacrifice sleep, space, silence for others, for tasks, for the endless shoulds. But depletion is not a virtue. It is a warning. You are not designed to run endlessly on empty. Even the sun sets to restore its light. Even nature rests to bloom again. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is strategic. Because the more nourished you are, the more powerful your presence becomes. The deeper your peace, the more grounded your guidance. The clearer your mind, the wiser your choices. Self-care is not indulgence. It is responsibility. It's waking early to sit with your thoughts before the world enters. It's saying no when your soul needs silence. It's choosing foods that energize, people who uplift, and habits that restore. It's not a spa day once a year. It's the consistent decision to honor your humanity. Fill your own cup daily, then serve from the overflow. Because what the world needs is not your exhaustion, it needs your clarity, your vitality, your truth. And that begins when you stop apologizing for taking care of you. There is a certain kind of strength that isn't loud. It doesn't roar. It doesn't fight. It simply releases what no longer serves, what has already taught its lesson, what weighs too much to carry forward. Letting go doesn't mean defeat. It means maturity. It means recognizing that not everything you once held needs to be held forever. Some things were meant to be chapters, not lifetimes. Some people were lessons, not lifelong companions. Some habits served a purpose once, but no longer align with who you're becoming. Clinging is not the same as commitment. Holding on does not always equal loyalty. Sometimes, what you hold on to most tightly is what's silently keeping you stuck. Freedom doesn't always come from adding more. It often comes from releasing what was never meant to stay. This includes outdated identities, the version of yourself you keep trying to protect, the roles you still perform to be accepted, the beliefs that no longer reflect your current awareness. You evolve by shedding, not stacking. Letting go requires courage. It invites grief. It asks for trust in something unseen. But the space it creates allows something new to enter: clarity, peace, direction. Nature teaches this perfectly. Trees don't mourn their leaves in autumn. They release them with grace. Knowing renewal requires release, so honor what has passed. Give thanks for what once was. But don't mistake familiarity for purpose. What's familiar isn't always what's aligned. There's power in walking away from what no longer resonates, not with bitterness, but with peace. 9. Humility is the foundation of all growth. In a world where image is everything, humility is often misunderstood. But it's not weakness. It's not passivity. True humility is strength cloaked in quietness. It's knowing you don't have all the answers, and being okay with that. It's being open to learning, even from unlikely sources. It's the capacity to listen more than you speak, and to change your mind when new truth arises. Ego clings. Humility releases. The ego seeks to protect identity. It wants to be right. It fears vulnerability. But humility seeks to understand. It's more interested in progress than pride. Humility allows you to receive feedback without defensiveness. It allows you to admit, "I was wrong," without shame. It invites you to start again, to ask for help, to kneel before your own blind spots. There's power in that, because the humble never stop growing. They remain teachable. They see failure not as final, but as feedback. They don't resist correction, they welcome it. The strongest people are not those who know everything. They are those who know how to remain students, even when others call them masters. So stay open, stay curious. Let go of the need to appear flawless. Instead, be real, be reflective, and be willing to begin again. That is where true mastery begins. 10. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. You can have the clearest vision and the strongest intention, but if you're planted in the wrong soil, you will struggle to grow. Environment is not neutral. It either nourishes or depletes. It either sharpens you or dulls you. It either pulls you forward or quietly keeps you small. This includes people, places, energy, habits. Everything around you is influencing your mind, your choices, and your sense of possibility. Ask yourself, do the people around me speak life or feed doubt? Do the spaces I enter feel heavy or light? Do my routines elevate or exhaust me? This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. If you want to rise, you must surround yourself with conditions that support your rise. You wouldn't plant a seed in dry, toxic soil and expect it to flourish. You'd choose fertile ground, regular sunlight, clean water. The same goes for your inner garden. Sometimes, the greatest shift you can make isn't internal, it's environmental. This may mean spending less time in draining spaces. It may mean reorganizing your physical environment. It may mean limiting access to your energy. It may mean seeking mentors, spaces, and communities that reflect your highest values, not your comfort zone. Protect your space, like you protect your peace. What surrounds you is silently shaping what's within you. And when your environment aligns with your vision, your growth becomes not just possible but inevitable. 11. You are not your past, you are your present choices. Too often, people carry their past like a shadow they cannot shake. They replay old mistakes, wear old labels, relive old pain, believing that what once was must define what is. But the past is not a prison. It's a reference, not a residence. You are not who you were. You are who you choose to be right now. Growth begins when you stop identifying with the story and start authoring the next chapter. It's when you stop saying, "This is who I've always been," and start asking, who do I want to become? Yes, your past shaped you, but it doesn't own you. The moment you realize that the pen is still in your hand, everything changes. Every day is a blank page. Every moment is a decision. You don't need permission to rewrite your life. You just need the willingness to let go of old scripts. Healing doesn't erase the past, it rewrites your relationship with it. It turns regret into wisdom. It turns pain into power. It turns breakdowns into breakthroughs. So stop waiting for someone to declare you ready. You are already qualified to evolve. Your past may explain you, but it doesn't define you. Your present choices, that's where your power lives. Choose differently. Act intentionally. Speak honestly. Move courageously. You are not bound by your history. You are guided by your awareness. There is a kind of success that looks good to the world, but feels hollow inside. You reach the goal. You hit the milestone. You gain the title. Yet something feels off because you've achieved without alignment. Achievement without alignment is like climbing a ladder leaned against the wrong wall. You reach the top, but it's not where you truly wanted to be. True success isn't just about reaching more. It's about becoming more, becoming truer, more present, more whole. When you pursue goals that are aligned with your values, your growth becomes fulfilling, not just impressive. You don't just gain recognition, you gain peace. The question is not, what can I achieve? It is, what is worth achieving? Alignment asks you to slow down and listen. Does this goal reflect who I am or who I'm trying to prove I am? Am I moving with intention or escaping something internal? Is this success feeding my ego or my soul? Your answers matter, because no amount of external reward can compensate for internal disconnection. No title can quiet a misaligned heart. Praise can replace peace, so before you chase, pause. Before you grind, reflect. Before you sacrifice, ask, is this worthy of me? Alignment doesn't mean comfort. It means clarity. It means doing the hard things that are true, rather than the easy things that impress. Let your path be a reflection of your values, not the world's. Expectations. 13. The power of daily ritual. We are shaped more by what we do consistently than what we do occasionally. A single moment of inspiration can shift awareness, but daily rituals create transformation. Your rituals are not just habits, they are declarations. Every time you rise early to breathe, move, write, or reflect, you are telling the universe, I take my life seriously. I value this day. Rituals create rhythm. Rhythm creates stability, and stability allows creativity and focus to emerge. These rituals don't need to be complex. A few minutes of silence in the morning, a walk in nature, a mindful meal, a journal entry at night. These acts seem small, but they build a life. A life with structure, a life with intention, a life not ruled by chaos, but guided by conscious design. Rituals are where the sacred enters the ordinary. They ground you in your body, anchor your mind, and reconnect you with your purpose. The key is consistency, not perfection. Missing a day isn't failure. It's a chance to return, to realign, to recommit, because the power of ritual lies not in the action, but in the awareness it carries. Design your days like your life depends on it, because it does. 14. The path is walked one breath at a time. Sometimes the journey feels overwhelming, the distance too great, the work too heavy. In those moments, remember, you don't have to do everything at once. You only need to take the next step. One breath, one choice, one honest act. That's how all change begins. The mind wants to see the whole staircase. The heart only needs to take the next step. The journey is not walked in leaps, it's lived moment by moment, presence by presence. Breathe. You are not behind. You are exactly where your lesson lives. You are not late. You are right on time for your becoming. Release the need to rush. Release the pressure to arrive. Every season serves. Every step counts. Every moment holds the opportunity to return to yourself. You are walking not toward something, but with something, your truth. And the more you walk in alignment with it, the less you need to force anything. Let each breath anchor you. Let each step ground you. Let each moment become the teacher. In this way, you don't just go through life, you grow through it. 15. May you remember who you are, not who the world asked you to be, not who you became to survive, not the version you wore to be liked, but the one beneath it all, the one who still believes, the one who still breathes with wonder, the one who knows that presence is power and stillness is strength. You were not born to conform, you were born to remember. Remember your essence. Remember your light. Remember your strength, not as something you build, but something you return to. May you remember that your worth is not earned, is inherent. That your value is not measured by output, but by truth. That your impact comes not from noise, but from presence. And when you forget, as we all do, may you have the courage to return. Return to breath. Return to silence. Return to the practice. Return to the path. Because this life is not about arriving. It's about awakening. Over and over again. Final reflection. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly. And ask yourself, without fear or urgency, am I living in alignment with what I know to be true? If the answer is yes, continue with gratitude. If the answer is no, adjust with grace. Either way, you are not stuck. You are in motion. You are not lost. You are learning. And at every moment, you have the power to begin again, not because you are broken, but because you are brave enough to evolve.